What's up, guys? So, I think this is going to be a pretty cool video. At least it is in my head before I actually do it. And what I did here is I installed Tumbleweed using the old Yast installer. And then I installed Tumbleweed again using the new Agama installer that they're still working on. And what I wanted to do was figure out in Kdenlive how to put those two videos into one screen, over, under, side by side, whatever, but I figured it out. And this is basically going to be the end result that you're watching now. So both of these installs, the Yast installer and the Agama installer, are both from the net install. So basically a small image and you get it running, and then it pulls whatever packages you end up installing, it pulls from online. And considering that they're both net installers, I'm thinking along the lines this should take about the same amount of time because of they're coming from the same server. I think. Don't know for sure, but I would think they would be. And one of the things that intrigued me early on is you'll see just here in a moment that by the time I'm done with the entering of information on the Agama, which is the bottom right, the Agama installer, I've got it, I click install and it is beginning to install Tumbleweed. I'm done with my interaction before the Yast installer is even ready for me to input information. So I thought that was pretty intriguing. And also, I've actually done many installs using Agama at this point. And I knew it was quicker about initializing. I just didn't realize how much quicker it was at initializing. So I actually found that pretty fascinating. And let me see. Want to see. Should be in my history. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to dig around just a little bit for it, but what I'm wanting to do is I want to see which Agama version. Okay, there's my clicky. The Agama version that I'm using right now is 15 pre-release. I think that's what that means. So as far as I can tell, I'm using the version 15 pre-release. I think it was built 5/14/2025. So just not long ago, 5 days ago, is the one that I used. So very cool, very cool. Anyway, you probably saw on the screen there that the Agama version was installing before I was even ready to input information into the old Yast installer. Very interesting. So I'm going to interrupt that screen just for a minute. It's still running in the background. I'll go back to it shortly. Not a whole lot to see at the next little bit, but this is the mailing list for openSUSE. I thought it was interesting because this question it's a good question. Since Leap 16 beta ships without Yast, but with Cockpit and Merlin instead, are there any similar plans for Tumbleweed? And this right here is the answer that I want to highlight. There is no immediate plan to remove Yast packages from Tumbleweed, but be aware that the code base not really being maintained, there is a big chance of bugs creeping up. As has happened over the course of the last years, that won't be addressed. Yast, if I remember right, is written in Ruby. Yeah, I think that's right. And I don't, the way that yeah, right. Well, it says it right there, Ruby. Um, my understanding is there's not a lot of people using Ruby anymore, so it's not maintained anymore. Um, things already known not to work: Yast2 RMT and Yast2 Firewall. What's likely to hit a big nail in the coffin will be the next Ruby version update. We've seen every year that the update needed some work on the Yast code base. Without anybody looking after it, there's a big chance things will break by then. The good thing is, I guess, the good thing is that Agama is actually pretty close to being usable. If all you're doing is installing a basic system, it is 100% usable. It doesn't have the advanced features. It doesn't even have the advanced features that they want in it yet. But it's never going to be as advanced as Yast. Now, the roadmap does not look good for that. So in essence, the code's available on GitHub. It's open for contribution. If you want to work on it, feel free to do so. Yeah. And then we'll click on this one, see where we're at. Yeah, we're still a long ways away from install. And, oops, wrong gadget. So anybody that has actually installed openSUSE a time or two or more, we all know and understand and recognize that openSUSE installs very slowly compared to other Linux distributions. The thing we like about Yast installer is that you can get in there and you can change just about every single thing during the install that will have a lasting effect on the actual install. And we like that. It's both one of the best and one of the worst installers in Linux that can be found. But I mean, it's certainly a long ways away from the worst. Don't get me wrong. I'm not mentioning any names, but there's worse ones out there. But other than that, I mean, it's openSUSE installs slowly, plain and simple. But anyway, let's read a little bit about Agama. If you don't already know, Agama is the replacement that will eventually replace the Yast installer. And Agama is the installer for Leap 16 that is currently in beta. So if you want to check that out, quick search for Leap 16 beta will take you right to it. And it does have the Agama installer. The Yast installer is not there. Yast is not there. They are replacing Yast with Cockpit. They are, yeah, I'm not gonna no. And the installer will be Agama, which is already on the beta. So what is Agama? A new Linux installer born in the core Yast team. It is designed to offer reusability, integration with third-party tools, and the possibility to build advanced user interfaces over it. That part intrigues me. Are they building this specifically for the community to take it further, build it better? Sort of like GNOME and extensions. GNOME offers you a basic desktop with extensionability. Is that a word? And the community creates extensions to make GNOME actually usable. I mean, to add functionality to GNOME. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing here. It offers an HTTP API to control and monitor the whole installation process. It's intriguing. Is there going to be community plugins for Agama? That would be so cool, in a way. Sorta. Anyway, a Linux installer. From a very simplistic and high-level view, there are basically two methods to deploy a Linux operating system: using a pre-built image and performing an installation. Sounds about right. We're going to skip some of this. Configure your network, configure your target hard drive system, storage. Yep. Anyway, this is their little thingy. Frequently asked questions. Did I keep this on here because there was something I wanted to remember to tell you? I don't remember. Oh yeah. Somebody asked me in one of my videos, can you use AutoYast? So this one says, can I use my existing AutoYast profiles and infrastructure? Yes, Agama can fetch and process AutoYast profiles. Awesome. So people who are currently using AutoYast will be able to continue to use AutoYast with Agama. That is very cool. Will Agama replace Yast as the main installer for SUSE Linux? Although nothing is set in stone, this is the plan for SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 16. And then Leap 16 is based on that. So SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 16 is going to have Agama, therefore Leap 16 has Agama. Will Agama replace Yast as the main installer for openSUSE distributions? There are no concrete plans in that regard. The Yast team works in close collaboration with several openSUSE contributors to make sure Agama can install openSUSE Tumbleweed Micro OS, and there is also slow roll on the Agama installer. So I think that's awesome. I really think that is awesome. In my personal opinion, I could be wrong. I think Yast installer and Yast will continue to thrive on Tumbleweed until it breaks. Until Ruby? Yeah, breaks. Just like in the previous screen. All right, let's see where we're at. Looks like we're about halfway. Not quite halfway. Okay. That's my personal opinion. They won't replace it until they have to, I think. Which will be fine. Now, you can, if you go to opensuse.org and you click on Tumbleweed and you click on install it and you download that ISO for Tumbleweed, right now you're going to get Yast installer. If you want to install it with the Agama installer, you can either download Leap 16 beta, which has the same Agama installer that lets you pick Leap 16 or Slow Roll or Tumbleweed or Micro OS. That Agama installer is the same. Or you can go to where I was a minute ago. Yeah, this right here. And if I remember to, I'll put this in the show notes in the description. I will put this link in the description so you can grab the ISO, the same ISO I did, which is the most recent build, as far as I can tell, of Agama, and I like it. I actually installed my laptop with the Agama installer, and it's running like a champ. I didn't have any problems, so there is that. Oh, and come to think of it, that laptop, the one on the end, that one I also installed with the Agama installer because I like to test new things and I like openSUSE. Leap 16 is still a work in progress. We'll just leave it at that. I want Leap 16 to be good enough to put it on my 82-year-old mother's laptop. It's not there yet, but I want it to be. I'll keep looking at it. I'll do a revisiting Leap 16 beta sometime soon. All right, I'll put this link right here. Matter of fact, I'll copy it right now because that makes it go into my clipboard, and that'll make it a whole lot easier. So I was looking at this part of the Agama screen, the documentation, and I like this. And it says, bear in mind that some of the mentioned features may may be already available and fully working as described, while others may still be incomplete in the current version of Agama. So this is a lot of work in progress. Some of it's wishful thinking, I guess. Planned wishful thinking, not the kind where it's not going to happen. This, I like this. Let me zoom that in. So you click on the drive and it says all content will be deleted, new partitions. So that part I like. And if I come on down here, let's look at the next one. This one says, where was it? Okay, that one's to install. Maybe it was the next one. Okay, yeah, this one right here. This one, choose what to do with the current content. This is awesome. This is a lot like the current old Yast installer where you can select guided and you can tell it to either keep or remove existing partitions. This is very cool. So delete current content is checked. Shrink partitions. The data is kept, but the current partition will be resized. Use available space. So this is a lot like guided, but I think this actually gives you a little bit more control than the Yast guided did. And this is another screen I wanted to show. Use this 30 gig. All content will be deleted. Use this one for additional partitions. Content will be kept and an existing partition will be used for home. This is when you want to do an install, but you want to keep your home folder, and your home folder is probably on a different hard drive because some people install their Linux that way. So you can reinstall all you want to and keep your old home folder and everything's there. That's what this does. An existing partition will be used for home. This is awesome. I don't know if this is in there yet. I haven't tried it. And then you've got LVM, software RAID, all that. Installation devices. Yeah. Let's see. Select to ensure a new system is able to boot. The installer may need to create or configure some partitions in the appropriate disk. So this is where you're going to install your bootloader, and it lets you pick that. So that is very cool. That's something that's needed by all Linux distributions. Transactional. I'm not sure what that is. I think that's a micro OS thing. Don't know that much about micro OS. They're not building micro OS for me. We'll put it that way. So there's a lot of good things in there. And let me see. I'm going to try to find the roadmap. There it is. It's right there. Duh. So right here's the roadmap. Agama 13 is the most recent release. Agama 14 is supposed to release April 21st, which is soon. Should have a released already? Is that okay? I don't know. It says 13 is the latest released version, but it says 14 is supposed to come out April 21st, which was a month ago. Maybe this just isn't updated. And matter of fact, the one that I installed or downloaded is 15. So we're on the 15. It's supposed to release on May 26th. So I think it's just that this screen is not updated. But we're on Agama 15 right now with the installer that I used. Allowed to solve conflicts for patterns at the user interface. Enhancements for command line, improvements for unattended. I don't do either one of those. Midterm plans, September. Welcome screen for local installation. I love welcome screens if they're done right. I'm not a big fan of Fedora, but their welcome screen is awesome. I love their welcome screen, and it's functional and it's usable. I like it. And the welcome screen for Tumbleweed, the current version of the welcome screen for Tumbleweed is more or less semi-useless, and I wish it had more on it. Reorganize the commands config and profile. Ability to adjust some simple settings related to security. I'm guessing that's where you can select or deselect SE Linux, something like that. Maybe I know in the old Yast installer I would always disable my firewall so I can find my printers in my house. So something like that maybe. Basic management KDump, I don't know what that is. Deal with multiple real-time clocks. Improvements in network configuration, usability fixes of the user interface, ability to configure DNS search domains per interface. Improvements at unintended installations. I've never done it unintended, and I don't know that I ever will. To me, that sounds like something you do if you were in the business of installing operating systems. Reevaluate some aspects of storage handling. Consider version of RAID metadata. Yeah. Better logic for automatically calculated file system sizes. That's important. And yeah, password strength check. That's where I always fail when I'm doing these videos because I always use a very weak password. But it's just for a virtual machine. It's not going to be around for long. Long-term plans. Introduce the concept of security profiles. I like the sounds of that. I don't know. Of course, I don't, there's nothing to say how they're going to implement that, but I like the sounds that they're going to do that. I just hope they do it right. Extend the storage section of the user interface. Option to reinstall a system. Okay. Oh, that's good. I love that. Equivalent to Yast import mount points. I love that. That's awesome. Rewrite some components in Rust instead of current Ruby. Improve integration with other tools. Okay. So that's what is on the horizon for Agama. Very cool, very cool. We're actually getting pretty close. I'm going to let that run for just a minute. So that actually surprised me a lot when I was setting this up for doing this video, and I previewed this screen right here, and the Yast installer got done first. I about fell out of my chair. I was so shocked because the Agama installer actually starts installing so much sooner than the Yast installer. And again, theoretically, they're coming off the same server. They're both net installs. And theoretically, they're both pulling off the same server. So when the Yast installer got done that much quicker, I was shocked. But I blathered as much as I can in this video to try to entertain you, teach you, give you some knowledge, whatever, while this very long and lengthy install for Tumbleweed happened. Again, everybody knows openSUSE installs slowly. I don't know why. And it's not it doesn't have anything to do with the net installer, because even if you get the full install where you don't have to access the net for it, it's still one of the slowest installers. And Agama is a brand new installer. Why is it slow? I don't know. I can't answer that. But we're going to let this Agama installer go ahead and finish out. And I will end the video at the end of this Agama installer. And if you got this far, and I appreciate it, please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. I do a lot of openSUSE here lately. I do some gaming. I stream some gaming. I do plan on streaming something to do with the ink stitch whenever it releases full, the new release. Stream live, something for that. So until next time, and as always, thanks for watching.